Hello everybody, Steven here with Cardboard Coalition, and today I figured I'd try to do it quick, bring you a quick playthrough of The Princess Bride adventure book game. And this is from Ravensburger. I always do it wrong. Ravensburger, yes, it's Ravensburger, I did it right. From Ravensburger game. This is a 1 to 4 player game, and the time is 15 minutes per chapter. I feel like when you first teach it, it takes a couple seconds in the beginning, but let's say 15 to 20 minutes per chapter. You have 6 chapters, if I'm remembering correctly, in the book, and it's for ages 10 and up. So let's go ahead and go through the setup really quick, and then we'll go through the how to play. And the how to play kind of varies depending on chapters, but we'll get into this. All right, first we want to have that storybook out. Right, so we have it out. And it tells you to go ahead and open it up to whatever chapter you're playing at. Because you can save, it'll take a little writing some information down and separating some stuff, but you can save and play later on. But it says first you open up the chapter, right? The chapter book. And we're going to go with chapter 1, and I'll run through how to actually set up chapter 1. So it says open up the chapter book. And it says go ahead and get challenge tokens. So these are the challenge tokens. We have 3 challenges in this chapter. We go ahead and take those. I'm trying to put them down nice, but it's not going to work. You get the challenge tokens out. Next, you go ahead. It tells you to separate it, but I put it in the box separated by this deck of cards over here. So I already know that they're separated. And yes, there's sleeves, so I'm sorry if there's a little bit of a glare. But the next thing you do after you get the challenge tokens out is you separate the special cards, which is this stack down here. And it's easy to tell on the other side because they're marked with the special down here, and they look different from the story deck cards. And these are kind of wilds. So it tells you to go ahead and take those, give them a quick shuffle. Take these. These are the regular story cards. As you can see, there's suits. You have courage, adventure, intrigue. It loves the other one, revenge and love, right? So these are the main story cards. They tell you to separate them. I already keep them separated in the box, but you go ahead and take the story cards, you put them up here. You take the special cards, you go ahead and put them over there. I mean, you can put them where you want. This is kind of how it shows to set up. And then you go ahead and you get out the plot deck, which is really easy to tell, right? This plot deck just gives you numbers. There's little sayings from the story, but it just gives you numbers, right? You take the plot deck, you shuffle it up, you go ahead and get that out. And you give each player a reference card. So, and this is what I'll use to make sure I stay on point when I talk about all the things that we do in the game. So each player gets a reference card. I kind of just set it up as if we have 4 players here. I'm going to be stealing the reference card to make sure we follow it. All right. Oh, one thing that I forgot. When you put the storybook out, you go ahead and you put this out, and this is your replay counter. So you start with the grandson side up. If you fail a mission, you flip it over to the grandfather's side. If you fail the mission again, or the story again, you failed the game. So you go ahead and put out the replay counter, and you put it with the grandson side up. That means the grandson is listening, grandfather's doing well, all that kind of stuff. The whole objective of this game is to get through the story before the grandson gets tired and goes to play their, I think it's an NES, right? Before the grandson gets tired to go play their video games. If you've seen the movie, then you know. I'm assuming if you've checked this out, more than likely you've seen the movie, or you're just friends and family of ours and you just wanted to watch the video. Either way, you're trying to tell the grandson the story, the grandfather, you're all acting as the grandfather, you're working together to try to tell the grandson the story before he decides to give up and play video games. All right, so that's the basic setup, but now that we know, we're going to go through chapter 1 and go through that. It also tells you to take any extra stuff and put it away because you don't need it right now, but I do know we need some stuff. So I'm flipping through the book really quick because I want to make sure that I get it right. As you can see the little book page in the corner here. Let's make sure we do this right. All right, so for setup, we have a handful of things we want to do. And I'll go ahead and show you guys this. So you have chapters set up too. Every chapter sets up like this. Of course, without it open, it would set up like this every chapter. You go ahead and set it up like that. Make sure everybody has everything. Everything's out on the board. And then you go ahead and you go to whatever chapter. See, there is 6 chapters. So you flip it open. This tells you follow the instructions for all chapters. We've already done that. And then it tells us where to place some of our people. And it's kind of cool because they're color coded too with the people. All right, so what we need to do is old Wesley needs to go to the barn. And you find the barn. You put old Wesley at the barn. And it says go ahead and take old Buttercup and you put her at the farmhouse. With the first chapter, it's kind of hard. The board's kind of hard to set things on because it's kind of angled. It took me a lot to feel like I could keep pushing it down without breaking it. Kind of scared me a lot, but that's just me. All right, so for this game, we have wood, right? We have the chore counters, but they're stacks of wood. And in here it tells us we put the wood counters, or the chore counters, I'm going to keep calling them wood counters. You put the chore counters at wood, which makes sense because you're chopping wood. And sometimes they don't want to stay, and you see, like I said, you got to kind of smash the board a little bit. So you put them at wood, and then horse, and then well. So you have 3 counters. Then it tells you to take the rest of the counters and place them over here for your chores, right? There's your chores. So we got some extra chores we can put out. All right, so next, the thing we want to do is we want to take our miracle counter, and I'll explain what these do. Take the miracle counter and put it in space 9, but it also shows you that's where the miracle counter goes. And for every chapter, it shows you where the miracle counter goes. Then it tells you to go ahead and read through the rules, which we have over here, right? And then read through the challenges, and you let the whole table know what's going on, because the rules and the challenges are going to change. It's what's kind of fun about this game, every chapter that you flip over. The mechanic is the same. You put down cards to get challenges, things like that are the same, but those are the rules. And then the one thing, and I want to show this to you guys, it's kind of fun, is each thing tells you so for the first chapter, whoever most recently completed a chore goes first, right? For the next chapter, whoever was most recently on a boat goes first. And it goes like that for each chapter. So you kind of go through all the chapters, and a different person gets to start, and then order goes clockwise around the table. So now we have chapter 1 set up, and we'll use this for example. So chapter 1, we have certain rules. One rule says, during the storytelling phase, the active player may discard a card to move a one chore counter in Wesley's space to the list of chores. So what that means is once you get here, you can discard a card and you can get rid of that chore counter. So everything works off getting rid of discarding cards for challenges or to do things, right? The other rule says in this chapter, the other rule in here says the chapter is interrupted if there are no more chore counters remaining on the list of chores when you would need to place the chores on the map. So it's saying if we have all the chores out here, right? Let's say we have chores all over here, and I'll explain how the chores get put out. We have all the chores out here, and we have to put down another chore. We have no chore. The story is interrupted, which means that you failed. That's the you failed. You get one more chance. That's when you would flip this over, and then you reset the game and you start all over again. Try to make sure I grab all the right counters. What are all the right counters? I'm missing one. Why am I missing one, Stephen? Oh, because I put one here. All right, let's go ahead and put those back. So, and this goes into how the game plays too, is you have the plot table. The plot table is what you use when you go through these plot cards. And like I said, each plot card gives you a number. So this one's 4. You have 1 through 15 and then 16 through 20. So if you pull a plot card that is 1 through 15, place a chore counter from the list of chores on the space with the same number as the revealed plot card. So if we had pulled this card as our plot card, we would take a chore and we would put it on space 4. Oops. Now, if you get 16 through 20, and these go up to 20, let's see if we can find a 16 through 20 card. I probably passed it somewhere. Of course we can't, because we're trying to do this fast, Stephen. Why would we be able to do it? Oh, there's 20. So if you were to get 20, all right, it says, move Buttercup to Wesley's spot, then draw and resolve another counter card. So that means if you were to get 20, let's say Wesley's over here, Buttercup goes to his spot, right? And then you would go ahead and draw the next card, which tells us 2, and you'd go ahead and put a chore at number 2. And they're kind of, like I said, with the board, it's kind of hard to set them down. After the first chapter, it's much easier. It opens up, and then the last chapter, you kind of get the same thing. But it's definitely doable. All right. So that is how, that is the rules and how the plot table works. Right? It doesn't really say to read the plot table. I like to read it so everybody knows. I think that's part of the rules, to be honest. So then you want to go over challenges. So this has different challenges, right? Let's go ahead and put these people back where they need to be. And so for chapter 1, our first challenge requires there must be 2 or fewer chore counters on the map. Wesley and Buttercup must be in the same space. So you can only have 2 on the map, and we have to have these guys in the same space. Then what you would do is you would discard a card, right? This is how you beat any of the challenges, right? From your hand, because you're going to have a hand of cards, you would discard a card, all right? So for love, you would discard the love card. You have them both in the same spot, and you would say challenge complete. And the challenges keep going. The same here. They both have to be at the farmhouse, and you have to get rid of these cards. And then for the last one, with the last challenge for every chapter, always says you have to do all the other challenges. But this last challenge is you have to have Wesley over here. Buttercup needs to be at the farm, right? And then you would have to get rid of 2 greens, which let's look so I remember what they are. 2 adventure and 1 courage card. And 1 player has to get rid of those cards. And as you go through, like I said, you put the challenge tokens down with each challenge. Now, the one thing Stephen forgot is in the setup of the chapter, you go ahead and you shuffle everything together, right? And you give each player 4 cards. So let's say these are the players. They got their 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. This player has their 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. This player has their 4 cards. We'll go ahead and set them, to the outside. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. This player has their 4 cards. Let's go ahead and set this on the outside. And you have a discard pile, and you just shuffle your discard pile when you run out of cards. So those are all the challenges and rules. Now, how do you play through the game? Well, we have this reference card right here, and it tells us the things we do. So on your turn, move a single character 0 to 2 spaces. So you could pick 1 character and move them 2 spaces, 1, 2. Where'd the horsey thing go? I have no idea. You could move it 2 spaces. Oh, it's down here. Or you can move 1 character 1 space and another character 1 space. All right, that's move. And you go through all 5 of these things. So the next thing, and this has multiple, is storytelling. So once you've moved, you go into storytelling phase, right? And so how storytelling phase goes, let's say we just moved Wesley 2. Let's put him 2 over here. We put him over by the well. All right, so now storytelling phase. It says discard any number of cards to move 1 character 1 space. So you can get rid of if you have a hand of cards, all right, you can get rid of a card to help move a character 1 extra space. So I discard that card, move a character 1 space. All right. The next thing that you can do is you can complete challenges. And as we know, the game tells us for this chapter, the challenges is to get rid of the chores, right? So we could then get rid of another card. We can discard another card from our hand and get rid of 1 chore. Now, if you're paying attention to the challenges, this is one of the things that needs to happen. We need only 2 chores on the map, no more. And we need Buttercup and Wesley. I had to think for a second. I wish this was Wesley, not, I can't remember what the Dread Pirate Roberts. I wish there was a Wesley one too, but you only use Wesley in this one. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. So we removed a challenge. we might say, hey, we want to get Buttercup closer to Wesley. I have 2 cards left in my hand. I'm going to discard both those cards and move her 1, 2. Now they're both together. So, and you could do this in any order, and you can move back and forth, move around in how you do it. Then it says play special cards. So these are the special cards, right? And how you get special cards are as rewards for here. And once you use them, the special card goes straight in the discard and it gets shuffled and mixed in. So by the time you get to the last chapter, there's lots of special cards going out and it makes it really fun. All right? You can trade a single card with any player. This is all still in storytelling, the second thing you can do. So let's say I had 1 card left. Let's just say player 1 had 1 card left. We got Wesley and Buttercup in the same spot. We got we got 1 challenge away, so there's only 2 challenges left on the 2 chores left on the board. We know that we have a challenge here. We have something that we can do. We can complete this challenge, right? And I think I called it a challenge a little bit earlier. Getting rid of the wood is just something you can do. It's part of the storytelling phase. I apologize about that. These are the actual challenges. But let's say we get them together. Now, it says we can trade with someone else. So I can go, who has a heart? Who has love? And the other players, because we're all playing together, they're looking through. And player 2 says, I have a love card. And you say, all right, I will trade you this card for the love card. So you trade them like that. And they now have that card. Right? And then you can go ahead, and since they're both in the same spot, there's 2 or less chores there. It tells you right there. You can go ahead and discard your love card, and that means you complete this challenge. And because you completed the challenge, it gives you a reward down here. This is just flavor text down here, but it gives you a reward. Draw 1 card from the special deck. So then I get to pull 1 card from the special deck, right? This one says this card can be used as any type of card. So this is a wild card. So this goes into my hand. And once I use it, it goes straight to the discard pile, and it'll eventually get into the shuffle deck. So that is trading cards. And like I said, you can bounce around. You can do all this stuff as much as you can while you have cards and the ability to do things, right? The last one is use a miracle to draw 3 cards from the story deck or 1 card from the special deck. So these miracles, you collect them up. You can turn them in at any point of the game. It doesn't have to be the chapter, at any point of the game. And when you turn them in, you can either get 3 cards from the story deck or you can pull 1 special card from here, right? Now, how do you get one of these miracle counters or just miracle is one of the players has to either stop on the space that the miracle's at or they have to move through the space where the miracle's at. So stopping on it or moving through it, that player gets the miracle and they could save it to use at any point in the game that they want. So just to go back really quick for 2, because I know there's a lot of things that go on. I think it can get a little confusing. You can do this stuff in any order and as many times as it says right there, as many times as you can. So what you can do is you can just, for the second phase of your turn, is you can discard any number of cards to move characters. So you can move characters as many cards as you have. You can complete challenges. All right, and these are the challenges over here. And there are usually in the rules something else you can do. Like this one is you can discard a card to get rid of a chore, right? You can play special cards, which we showed you. These are these cards. You could play them at any time. There are other things that special cards do, like you don't pull a plot card out at the end, right, of your turn. You can trade with another player. And then you can use your miracle, if you have one, to get 3 story cards or a special card. Now, once you've moved and you've done all the storytelling actions that you can do or want to do, then you draw 2 cards from the story deck. So then you would take 2 cards, 1, 2, and you go ahead and put them into your hand. So now I'm back to 3 cards in my hand, or player 1 is back to 3 cards in their hand. Next, it says discard the top card of the plot deck and then refer to the plot table. So what you do is you reveal, I call it reveal, you do this first card, and as we went over this before, it's a 20, you would go ahead and look on your plot table and you go 20. What do I do for 20? And there's flavor text, right? It says Fetch me that picture. Oh no, it's a question mark because the movie, right? She's like, fetch me that picture. Move Buttercup to Wesley's position and then draw another card. So then we'd have to draw another card because we got a 20, and this gives us a 3. And as we know, that means we take one of the chore counters and we put it at the 3rd spot. Now remember, we don't want the chore counters to run out. That means that we failed that chapter. All right, so now we've pulled our plot card, then we go to discard, and you can have up to 6 cards in your hand at the end of the turn. I have 3 cards, I don't have to discard anything. And so now the turn moves on to the next player clockwise. So then player 2 would go. And the same thing goes on. They have the same options. On your turn, these are all the things you do. You move, you do storytelling, you draw 2 cards into your hand, you draw a plot card, do what it says, or 2, depending. And then you discard any cards that you have over 6. Now, like I had said before, the way to win this game is to get to the end of the chapter, and there's 6 chapters in here, right? And it's fun. I'd have to kind of clean the, I don't want to ruin it for you guys. It goes through the movie. I think that's kind of fun, right? So you have the 6 chapters. If you can get to the end of the 6 chapters, you win. Each chapter you can redo. So every time you start a new chapter, you start with the grandson up. So each chapter you get 1 redo, so it gives you some freedom there. But you can lose, and each chapter has different ways you can lose. One way for this one to lose is you need a chore, and there's no chore counters to put on the board. The other way is if your deck runs out, right? If the plot deck runs out and you would need to draw 1 more plot card, then the story is interrupted. If you have the grandson up, you can flip it to the grandfather, and then you reset the chapter, all right? If you're at the grandfather and this deck runs out, or whatever the special thing is for that chapter, if you have the grandfather side up, you lose the game. So that's basically how you play the game. The main mechanic is playing cards, moving pieces on the table, getting rid of things like that. And it's different, and I'll go through this in the review. It's different in the different chapters and what you do when you get rid of cards. There's always moving characters. There's always moving characters, discarding cards, doing challenges, doing plot cards, right? Because for every player's turn, you still walk through this general kind of setup. So that is basically how you play The Princess Bride adventure book game by Ravensburger, I screwed it up again, Ravensburger's game. Ravensburger game. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Steven with Cardboard Coalition. I'll see you later, everybody. Bye.